The Carolina Panthers defeated the Atlanta Falcons last night 25-15 in a battle between two NFC South teams where the Falcons had a chance to really put themselves in a good position to be at the top of the NFC South. They fall short of that with the loss to the Carolina Panthers as the Panthers moved to 3-7, the Falcons moved to 4-6. AJ, take us through last night as a big Falcons guy. Take us through what happened last night. I mean, you guys had a good position. You guys were in a good position to set yourselves up for success moving forward with the NFC South race. You fall short. What did you see from the Falcons last night?
Yeah, we were the sad owners of a revenge game that we didn't know was happening, and got hit by the Deontay Foreman train, and it wasn't that good. This man had himself a day. Our defense wasn't prepared on any side of it. Foreman had 31 carries, 130 yards, and a touchdown. That's the most carries since like 2004 for the Carolina. And you'd think that was crazy because all they ever did was give the ball to Christian McCaffrey when he was there. But Deontay Foreman just ran wild. I looked at this guy last night, and someone asked me if they thought this was going to stay, if this was going to stay going for Deontay Foreman, if he could keep this up. And I told him I think that this offense has no choice but to allow to keep him up. They only have one real guy on the outside with DJ Moore. Sure, Terrace Marshall's come along a little bit, got some receptions and everything. But the run game is very important to this offense, despite who's back there. And Deontay Foreman's come up and got it. The Panthers were just prepared for the Falcons. We know already that coming into this game, the Falcons are going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. And they were ready for that. And then the weather happens. And even if we wanted to try to air the ball out, it's sloppy out there. You're going to have to run the ball. There were so many missed interception opportunities from the Falcons. And you can attest it to the weather if you want. You can attest it to just not being that great of a defense. But once their plan was knocked out, it had to go with Marcus Mariota being the guy to lead the team to a W. And while he's fought very well on week in and week out, we haven't seen him be the reason in most games that they come out with a W. So I was I don't want to say shocked because we know the Panthers have a good defense, despite what we've seen the last 2 weeks and how everybody else has been able to run over them. When the time calls for it in a tough division game, they avoid the sweep. We didn't get as crazy as a game as we did 2 weeks ago, but the Panthers liked it that way, and sadly they got the W. As far as the division goes, it's still open. Unless that 3-point last second win was enough for the Buccaneers to just streak for the rest of the season, still open. I very
Well,
much expect it to be 4-6 and 4-6 Tampa Bay and Atlanta this week as well.
that's the biggest thing we talk about. The fact that the Falcons were surprisingly right in it. And I heard a lot of this last night when hearing Richard Sherman talk on the post game, talking about it may be a bad thing keeping Tom Brady in this. Like that's the biggest thing is like we've never really seen Brady and a Brady led team struggle like this, or it's been a while since we've seen a Brady led team struggle like this. And the Falcons have their chances to really separate themselves or try and put themselves in a good position, and they're just letting Brady hang around. Coming into this game, when you look at the schedule after this, like you have the Panthers here, that's a winnable game for the Falcons. Like everything, there's a lot of winnable games for the Falcons for the remainder of the season. And when you lose games to Carolina, it's like that can't happen. That like if you want, and it's weird talking about this for the Falcons because like the expectations coming into the season were not as high as they are as they've been performing, I should say. That schedule looks great the rest of the season. You got to win these games against Carolina, and they didn't. They just kept Brady around. Marcus Mariota, AJ, are we starting to say bring in Desmond Ritter? Should we starting to have these conversations more?
I, so the last time you asked this question, I said that was a fan answer, and what I meant by that was despite what we all want, Arthur Smith and this Falcons team is going to do what they have to do, but we're going to do what they want to do, excuse me. But there are points in time last night when I'm just looking at Mariota and it baffles me, because I truly felt like there's no way the rookie behind him would ever make a boneheaded play like that. There were times where you're begging him to do something with the ball instead of just running laterally out of bounds. You're begging him not to barrel roll and throw the ball blindly up in the air. There's things that are happening that you look at and you're just like, you've been in the NFL too long. You were too good of a college player to think these things are what you're supposed to do with the ball. With that being said, we just talked about how they're still in it for this division. And I don't know that bringing in Desmond Ridder right now changes that enough where you feel comfortable. I'm very much a fan, and I've been like this for years. I think this is one of my more consistent points that I've ever had on this show. I'm very much a fan of allowing the rookie to come in and learn, especially with him being a third-round pick. You look at guys, and I know this is the easy, low-hanging fruit. You look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, who I knew was ready from the moment he was drafted, and he had the opportunity to sit behind and learn the NFL, and he came out and went gangbusters. Desmond Ridder is a talented quarterback. One of the most winning quarterbacks in college history. Of course, he has his issues, but what he was able to do at Cincinnati for those 4 years is, to me, going to translate into the NFL. Bringing him in now with the pressure on when the defense isn't good, the secondary is nowhere near what they used to be, with Casey Hayward being out potentially for the season. AJ Terrell can't get over the hamstring issue. The run defense being up and down. No real pass rush. A lot would be put on his shoulders to carry this team, and I don't know if that's something you want to do at this point in time. Now, if you're saying that we're not going to the playoffs and we need to start looking for the next season, you talked about their schedule. Those last 3 games, if we're out of it, those are some tough teams that they could play, and I wouldn't be upset if Desmond Ridder is playing those last 3 games to see what we have for next season. I don't know, as much as I like Desmond Ridder, and you know I do. I don't know if right now is the time, despite on what we've seen from Marcus Mariota. As ugly as he looked last night, still 186 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well, I think that's
get some things done.
I think that's the thing. He's doing just enough to say, okay, you can't get rid of me, but not doing enough to get them over the hump and win. I don't want to say must-win games, but to win games against teams that are in your division, that you're right in the race. It's almost a must-win game as it can get. But he's doing just enough to kind of be there. And the fact that, I mean, they've been alternating wins, losses all season long. This is like one of their first times all season they've lost 2 straight. I think that's exactly what Mariota is doing and keeping them in that playoff talk. Whether we think the Atlanta Falcons are truly a good team or not, they're right in the thick of it in terms of in the playoffs. So Marcus Mariota may give them the best chance to win that, because you're not going to get as many rookie mistakes from Marcus Mariota. Yeah. But either way, though, the Falcons, they moved to 4-6 after this game, fall half a game back, I should say, in the NFC South. The Panthers moved to 3-7, still holding on to that last place spot in the South. The Panthers will travel to Baltimore next week, and the Falcons will host the Chicago Bears in Week 11.
I'm scared.
You should be.
Not just because, the Bears are looking a lot better right now, but we just played the Panthers, and after you play the Panthers, you lose that next game.
That was the thing. Yeah.
0-8.
That's the thing. Oh man. Well, the Bears are hot. We talked about them yesterday. So they're a hot team. So the Falcons might not want to get that. But they lose this one 25-15.